Hello everyone, thank you very much for tuning in. And in this video, I want to talk about a company called Tata Chemicals, and it's a part of Tata Group as the name suggests. And I want to analyze the company's business prospects, the financial ratios, and on the financial side how it is doing. Maybe go a bit deep dive into on all these aspects and try to understand whether it could be a potential multi-bagger in the future. Before diving in deep, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. Whatever the analysis that I do, please don't invest in them blindly. I may have my own biases and I may have my own trading positions or investing positions in that. So please take it with a pinch of salt. And if you don't concur with my analysis, please do let me know in the comment section with the reasons. And if you do like what I'm saying, please hit the subscribe button and give it a like. Another thing, analyzing any particular stock can be very tricky and abstract sometimes, especially when we're talking on the business side, which is more of a qualitative analysis than looking at any particular data. So I try to put a checklist template with all the parameters that I want to look at while looking at analyzing a stock, or to take a decision whether to invest in that particular company or not. I'll be more or less looking at these parameters, whichever the stock that analyze either today or in this video or in future videos. So what's the template? The first point in the template that I want to look at is what's the business. So in this section, broadly, we talk about the business prospects of the particular company, which industry they are into, what are their strengths, what could be the threats for that particular industry or the company that we're talking about, who are their peers, who are their competitors, a lot of other qualitative factors that we can discuss here. And the second point that I want to talk about is the profit and loss metrics, the sales growth, the margin growth, and the profitability growth. How consistent are they in the last few years? And the third point I want to talk about is the debt metric. Basically, look at what is their current debt, and maybe look at some of the debt metrics, interest coverage ratio or debt equity ratio. And the fourth point is the holding pattern. What is the promoters holding? What are the promoters holding in that particular company, whether it is changing in the last few years, are there any pledged shares in that particular company? And the fifth point that I want to talk about, what is the big money doing in that particular company? So the big money here is nothing but the mutual fund holdings, the DIIs, domestic institutional investors, the FIIs, foreign investors, how much stake they have in that particular company. And the sixth point that I want to talk about is the capital allocation metrics, the two broad capital allocation metrics, the ROCEs and the ROEs, and how is the company allocating the capital to gain more profits or more margins. And the seventh point may be on the valuation compared to the peers. How is the P ratio doing, and how is the company broadly doing in comparison to the peers? Not only just the valuation. Say if the company, for example, Tata Chemicals that we're talking about is in the diversified chemical space, and how is the company doing when compared to its other competitors in terms of all these metrics. And the eighth one could be price action. So doesn't matter how good a company is, sometimes the price just doesn't move. And what is a broad stop loss that one can consider even for an investment, because anything can go wrong in the market. So these are broad factors that I want to talk about. I want to also give a green, yellow, or a red tick to all these points that I just spoke about. For any business, some may work well, some may not work well. For Tata Chemicals, in this case, the business may be very good, but they may not be good on the capital allocation metrics or some of the metrics, financial ratios. So we just need to take a calculated decision for our investment, depending on how many green ticks that we got, how many red ticks that we got, and all these parameters, and then see whether it makes an investment decision or not. So without wasting too much of time, let's get down to the business. What's the business? Tata Chemicals is a diversified chemicals company which produces and supplies a lot of chemicals that works as intermediaries to manufacturing. Total business in terms of products is concerned for Tata Chemicals is broadly divided into two types: the basic chemistry products and the specialty chemistry products. The basic chemistry products includes your soda ash and sodium carbonate, salt, and alkali industry. These are mainly used in manufacturing glass, flat glass, container glass, detergents, and construction, agrochemicals, animal feed, and food and pharmaceuticals. So almost 25 to 30% of the company's revenue is coming from soda ash chemical. That soda ash is nothing but a white crystalline powder. It's also called as sodium carbonate. Tata Chemicals is actually the number 2 or number 3 player in overall soda ash manufacturing across the globe. And they're one of the leaders in the manufacturing of soda ash chemical. So if you look at the complete soda ash industry as such, it's a very highly competitive industry. A lot of several players that are included. So the first, if you look at it, this company called Solvay SA, which holds nearly 18% of the market share, and next is Tata Chemicals, which is about 12% of the market share, and next is Sinor Group. And if you look at other players that are there, maybe the FMC Corporation and GHCL Limited, which is again an Indian company which holds nearly 4% of the market share. The other companies could be OCI, Wyoming, approximately 4% of the soda ash market, and Searles Valley Chemicals 3%, and Nirma Limited again 2%. This if you add up all these two, roughly about 50 to 60% of the market share, it's already covered here. And the global soda ash industry has been really growing in the past few years. As of now, the total market size for soda ash as a chemical is about $20 billion, $20.5 billion as per some of the research estimates, and it is expected to grow at about 4 to 5% in the next few years. So we're talking about roughly about $28 to $29 billion if you look into the future, say 2028, 2020, 2030. So, and Tata Chemical being one of the largest players in this, I mean, if you look at this simple pie graph, you'll know Tata Chemicals is almost the second player or third player in the soda ash market in terms of the market share is concerned. And there are many other basic chemistry products that the company produces, and salt is something that the company produces, and they used to have different kinds of consumer products as well. If you look at some of the organic dal and Tata salt and all this stuff, they were all used to be part of Tata Chemicals. As a part of restructuring from Tata Group, the Tata Group decided to take off all the consumer products from Tata Chemicals and put it in another entity called Tata Consumer Products. Group kind of completely restructured all the chemical companies into one, which is Tata Chemicals now. And if you look at another agri sciences company, which is listed company called Rallis India, that's also a part of Tata Group, and that is actually a complete owned subsidiary of Tata Chemicals now. There's another interesting development that's happening in Tata Chemicals, in my opinion, that I believe is a dark horse, which is the lithium ion battery plant that they're trying to construct in Dholera in Gujarat, which is a smart city that's developing in Gujarat. So once that is done, I think the company will have much more greater prospects, because if you remember now, if you look at the such situation now in India, most of the lithium ion we are importing from outside of India, whether it is China, Argentina, and few other places where we have reserves. And adding on to that, if you're following the news in the last few weeks, there's a very big news or discovery that happened in Jammu and Kashmir, where we in India have discovered the lithium ion reserves. So that adds on to the fuel with respect to the lithium ion battery manufacturing is concerned, where we have the reserves in India, and the Tata Chemicals will be pioneer in terms of manufacturing that. Of course, there are other companies which are trying to manufacture the batteries in India, starting from Exide and few others. And Tata Chemicals, in my opinion, can be the forefront in terms of battery manufacturing is concerned in India. That can be very big plus for the country with EV market growing rapidly, and if we crystal ball in the next 5 to 10 years, the lithium ion consumption is something that only going to go up, and Tata Chemicals is placed very nicely along with few other players like maybe Exide and etc. to take advantage of this situation and maybe manufacture the batteries that is required for India in India. So that is a very big plus in my opinion for the business in the next future. So on the business side, for me, I don't see a lot of risk. The company is placed nicely to take advantage of the future demand of the lithium ion batteries. On the business side, it's a big green tick from my end. So if you look at the P&L metrics, I mean, so the company at the moment is having about in the last financial year they made about 12,000 odd crores with a profit of nearly 1,600 crores. And if you look at the history, starting from say 2017 onwards, the company has not been as kind of revenues has been kind of flat in the last 2-3 years, 4 years kind of thing. There could be another reason for it, because if you just look at this, you may feel like there is not much of growth that's happening. But during this period, the restructuring has also happened, so we need to keep that in mind. And if you look at only 2022, the company started showing a very good signs in terms of their revenue the sales growth is concerned. And if you look at just the trailing 12 months, the last 12 months data, it's showing nearly 15,000 crores in terms of revenue is concerned, which is massive jump from the last financial year. And the last couple of quarters, the company is showing very good jump in terms of the revenue and profitability and margins are concerned. So that's a very big plus for me. And going down a bit, you have a decent profit. The company is making decent profits with respect to the EBIT margins are concerned, operating profits are concerned. And though the numbers shows that the sales growth may not be that great, or in terms of consistency is concerned, so keeping in mind the restructuring that happened in 2018 and 2019, the business has done reasonably well. And looking into the very recent performance in the last couple of quarters results and trailing 12 months, maybe the company is in the very good path in terms of the sales growth is concerned for the next few years or few quarters are concerned. For me, the P&L metrics, I'll still give it a green tick because we need to take all the factors of the restructuring into consideration before coming to kind of any conclusion on saying that the company is not producing very consistent sales growth or the profit growth. But in the last 12 months, it's doing pretty well. So based on the recent performance, I'm giving it a green tick. So let's look at the third metric, which is on the debt level. So in terms of the debt for the company is concerned, the company is having almost 6,000 crore in terms of debt is concerned. So if you look at other debt ratios, maybe look at the debt equity ratio, which is 0.33, and the interest coverage ratio, which is 8, which is very healthy. So it's a tick mark for me. Other thing in terms of the promoter holding, who is holding is about 38% in the company. So mostly it's the Tata Group, Tata Sons who is holding the stake in the particular company as a promoter holding. And if you look at the interesting part, and there are no pledge shares in the promoter holding, so which is a very big tick for me. So one more green tick on the promoter holding. And if you look at what the big money is doing, that is where I feel there's something interesting stats. So if you look at the mutual funds holding, there is a slight dip in the December 2021 quarter. After that, they are consistently increasing the stake in the company. So at present, it's actually on the highest in the last maybe 4 or 6 or 7 quarters, so which is a very good sign. The mutual funds are putting a lot of faith in the company. And if you look at the foreign institutions holding, it's more or less stayed consistent. So in this kind of scenario, where if you look at a lot of foreign selling that we've seen in the market, if you look at in the last year or year and a half, there's a lot of foreign selling that FIS selling that we've seen in the market, which is the highest in 2022. But it's good to see that the FIS holding stayed consistent for Tata Chemicals. So that's again one more very big tick mark for me. And on the ROCE and ROE, return on capital employed and return on equity metric, return on capital employed, ROCE is about 8.4%, return on equity is about 7.58%. And if I go here and check on the return on equity for the last and if I go down and check the stock price performance and the return on equity, it's pretty good if you look at maybe 3 years or 5 years or 10 years horizon. Yes, the ROCE is not that great when I compare to some of its peers. Say, if you look at some of the peers for Tata Chemicals, most of the ROCE for other companies is in the high teens and more than 15%, but for Tata Chemicals it's about 8%. And maybe for these two metrics, for Tata Chemicals, I'll give it an yellow mark. It's not bad, but it's not great when compared to its competition as well. So I'll give it an yellow mark here. What is the valuation when compared to its peers? So the chemicals industry is very interesting, right? When there are multiple things that we need to consider here when we're looking at chemical industry in India. A lot of the companies or manufacturing is slowly trying to shift from China to India. Companies who want to procure these chemicals also looking outside China to procure some of these chemicals for their manufacturing. So it's a very interesting play, and that showed in a lot of the stock performance as well. For example, if you look at some of the peers, whether if you look at SRF or Solar Industries or Gujarat Fluorotech or Deepak Nitrate, and there are many other companies also that are listed in India, where most of the companies are kind of got benefited from it. And a quick look at in terms of valuation is concerned, why I believe Tata Chemicals is still undervalued, even though the stock price is moved up almost 2 times or 3 times in the last 2 or 3 years, since 2020. In terms of the P ratio is concerned, Tata Chemicals is about 12 PE when compared to other chemical companies, which is in the high 30s or 40s, or for Pidilite it's almost 90. And also for the company, if you look at it just in terms of the revenue that they're making per quarter, it's actually the highest in the chemical industry, maybe one of the highest in the chemical industry in India. So with all these considerations and backed by good trusted management, and I believe Tata Chemicals could be the next multi-bagger in the future. So in terms of the stock price performance is concerned, considering that the stock price has not done anything in the last 1.5 2 years kind of time frame, and adding on to that, the financials is looking good, the future results in the next few quarters may look good as well. So it's maybe a very good time to enter into the stock, provided if the market does not give negative surprises. Maybe the stock will do well along with the market in the next 1-2 years time frame. And even if you want to look at it at a very long term, maybe in the next 5 years, I think one can consider buying it on every dip. I'm having my own investments in Tata Chemicals, so I may be biased here. So with all the reasons that I've just told, a thumping buy, but let me know what you think of it. If you do concur with my analysis, please hit the subscribe button and give it a like as well. If you don't concur with my analysis, please give me your reasons in the comment section below. We can agree to disagree. That's all from my end today. Thank you very much for watching. This is Pawan. I'll see you in the next video.